Critical Role postpones due to wildfires, new deets about D&D dragons, and some big Pokemon TCG news.
There, all's right with the world.
Welcome to 5 for Friday, our weekend news rundown. Today we're talking about the LA wildfires' impact on Critical Role, Dungeons & Dragons, and some big Pokemon TCG news. Now remember, if you like these kinds of videos, be sure to like and subscribe so we can keep making them. Now, on to the news. Critical Role postponed its latest episode due to the devastating fires in the Los Angeles area. The fires forced several cast members to evacuate, and producer Kyle lost his home in the fire, although both he, his partner, and his pets are all safe. The Critical Role Foundation announced that they have made a $30,000 donation to the California Community Foundation's Wildfire Recovery Fund to help support those affected by the fires. Obviously, our heart goes out to those affected by the fires, and we hope for a full recovery for those who have lost their homes or livelihoods. Critical Role plans to return to streaming next week. Wizards of the Coast has revealed some new details about the dragons found in the 2025 Monster Manual. For one, dragons have new legendary actions, with various dragons having more thematic options to use when attacking players instead of just hitting them with their tail or their claw. For instance, black dragons can summon swarms of insects, blue dragons can cloak themselves in invisibility, and gold dragons can literally banish people. Also, elder dragons, so ancient dragons and whatnot, now have specific spell lists that they can use that are incorporated into their stat block, and what's more, those spell lists are different for each kind of dragon to fit in with their general theme. While lair actions are no longer specifically named, dragons instead gain additional legendary actions and legendary resistances while in their lairs. Also, regional effects now have mechanical effects in addition to adding flavor about how a dragon is impacting the world. We will have more news on the Monster Manual next week. A new Wingspan spin-off is coming soon. Stonemaier Games has announced Finspan, a new Wingspan game focused on fish. The new game was created by David Gordon and will focus on players luring and hatching fish in various ocean zones. Players can also have the fish form schools to continue adding points. The game is the second Wingspan spin-off, followed by last year's Wormspan game, which focused on fictional dragons. Finspan will be released later this month. Rory McCann will replace the late Ray Stevenson in the next season of Ahsoka. Jeff Snyder reports that McCann, best known for playing the Hound in Game of Thrones, will play Balin Skoll in the next season, with Skoll continuing on in the extragalactic world of Peridia. Skoll's story seems to tie to the Mortis gods, beings that seem to control the Force. The Mortis gods appeared in the Clone Wars, although they seemed to die in that storyline, but it was all kind of existential and weird, and kind of involved Anakin's role as being the chosen one that was supposed to bring balance to the Force. Given that Skoll's story ended unfinished, it's great that McCann, who was Stevenson's real-world friend, is taking on that role to honor his legacy. And finally, the Pokemon trading card game has officially announced its next set, Journey Together, which will bring back Trainers Pokemon to the game. The new set will introduce Trainers Pokemon for N from Black and White, Lily from Sun and Moon, Iono from Scarlet and Violet, and Hop from Sword and Shield. Trainers Pokemon don't add specific new mechanics to the game, but there are some cards that only interact with specific Trainers Pokemon, and some card abilities that sync up specifically between Pokemon. Also, the Pokemon TCG hinted at the return of Mega Evolution, with new trademarks over in Japan, revealing that two upcoming sets are called Mega Brave and Mega Symphony. Obviously, those won't be the US names, just the Japanese set names. Those sets likely mean that we'll be getting new Mega Evolution cards, although how many and how long that gimmick will last in the Pokemon TCG, which should also be gearing up for whatever the next generation of games are, remains to be seen. That's all the stories that we have for you today. Let us know what your favorite story was in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe to Above the Table.